Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Friday. We made it to Friday, September 13th, and today we're going to talk about the one matchup for the upcoming Pittsburgh Steelers Week 2 game against the Denver Broncos. Except this isn't like a one-on-one matchup, really, like I kind of did last week. This is more of a unit versus, well, let's say it's against one guy. We're going to talk about Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix. If you are a regular listener to Steelers Afternoon Drive in the afternoons with myself and Zachary Smith, you will know that my opinion of Nix as an NFL player is not particularly high. I saw him in person at the Senior Bowl before the draft this year, and I didn't think he was very good at all. He's an older player, doesn't have a lot of upside, in my opinion. I don't think this is going to go well for the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix as their starting quarterback. But we were talking, me and Smitty the other day, about the Steelers' record against rookie quarterbacks. Mike Tomlin's only ever lost 6 times, but some of those 6 are against just like out and out laughers, right? Lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year, lost to Troy Smith back when he was in Baltimore. And there's been a couple others as well. We've seen from time to time where it's just, hey, where'd that come from? And the job for the Steelers front this week is to prevent that from happening. And so I talked to some guys on the defense yesterday about what exactly the job is when you're facing a rookie quarterback, how it's different than last week when they played an extreme veteran, Kirk Cousins, who's been around forever, and how that might change the game plan, that might change the assignment for the guys. And so I thought it was really interesting. I talked to Minka Fitzpatrick. I feel like he's kind of the closest thing the Steelers have to a quarterback on the defense. And he said the biggest thing is you don't want a player like that to get into a rhythm. You don't want him to get any confidence. And so, the Steelers last week, they gave up a bunch of yards on the first drive of the game, but it was mostly on the ground. It was mostly Bijan Robinson that was doing that. And then after that first drive, they kind of tightened up and they didn't really give up any more long drives after that, right? But for Minka, it's like if you give him up to the running back, it's one thing, and I'm sure Javonte Williams is going to have his carries. Denver likes to run the ball, but if you let the quarterback come out and have success and start him feeling good, and then the defense has to start to react to the offense instead of the other way, that is how you go down the rabbit hole of problems, right? That is how you end up getting beat by a rookie quarterback who I don't think is very good. On the other hand, you don't want him to feel comfortable. You want to keep him confused, keep him off balance, keep him unsteady. But interestingly, what keeps a quarterback unsteady is not necessarily the same thing from player to player. Kirk Cousins is a veteran player, very good against the blitz. The Steelers did not blitz him hardly at all. They spent almost all day with 4-man rush. One of the reasons for that is that Cousins is, a very experienced, good reader of defenses. He's really good at finding the open man. The other thing was Cousins wasn't going anywhere. He was not very mobile. In fact, he looked less mobile than he had before his Achilles injury last season in Minnesota. So they did not feel the need to contain him. The job is going to be a little bit different with Nix. He is not going to be the kind of player that is going to pick them apart, read their defense at an expert level, and throw back to where the blitz comes from and make them pay for it on a regular basis. They should be able to confuse him by blitzing, but they also need to worry about him using his legs. Now, Nix is not some kind of incredible athlete from the quarterback position. He's no Lamar Jackson, right? He's no, not one of the, no Pat Mahomes even. But I think he is athletic enough and comfortable using his legs where just flushing him from the pocket and making him run away is not really going to get him off his game. What the Steelers need to do is get him to turn the ball over. And Nix has shown that he will do that. If you watch the highlights of that week 1 game for him against the Seattle Seahawks, there were 2 interceptions, the one of which just a hilarious moment as color man Adam Archuleta, who, by the way, is working this week's game as well, just said, "Oh no," as soon as he let the ball go, and it's surrounded by 3 blue Seattle shirts as soon as the camera pans over. The Steelers got 2 interceptions off Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a lot better at taking care of the football than Bo Nix will be. For me, getting him off his game is more about disguising what they're doing in the back end, changing up coverages, being working with multiple packages, making him try to figure out what they're doing, than it is chasing him around the pocket. He is perfectly comfortable using his legs. And unless the Steelers are going to go heavy blitz or run a spy, sometimes forcing him from the pocket is just going to provide 3-yard gains to the Denver offense. But what will not provide any gains to the Denver offense is confusing him to the point where he's throwing the ball at 3 defenders, which the Seahawks showed last week can be done. And if you remember, Seattle's coach just came from Baltimore, where he was the defensive coordinator. The Steelers and the Ravens have very similar defensive structures. They don't run all the same stuff, but they have a similar sort of bones on their defense. And so I think the Steelers can do what the Ravens did, confuse him. They did sack him twice. They had 2 sacks as well. But I think for me, the turnovers and just the inability to move the ball down the field. Nix threw the ball 42 times in that game, and he had 138 yards passing. That's almost impossible to do. I don't think Denver has great receiving options outside of Cortland Sutton. They were trailing, obviously, for a good portion of that game. There's a lot that goes into it that is not necessarily in the defense's control. But for me, if I'm the Steelers, I'm very comfortable with Bo Nix standing in the pocket and looking and looking and looking. And I think that's probably a better option for the Steelers than it is him running and running and running. So that's the assignment for the Steelers defense. And I think this is a matchup where the Steelers should be extremely confident in their ability to succeed. Like I said, I don't think Nix is particularly good. I don't think that Broncos have a lot of weapons around him. For Denver, they absolutely have to keep the game close so that they don't get into a situation where they have to pass, because I don't feel like that is going to go well for them. That's it for now. We'll be back with more with me and Smitty. I believe DB is joining us as well. Derek Bell should be with us on the channel for Afternoon Drive this afternoon. We'll have more videos from practice in between. Until then, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform. We are at just over 13.6 thousand subscribers, honing in on 15K. We're really excited about the growth of the channel here and really appreciate all the positive comments we get every day, and the not ones. We still like those ones, but lots of good comments from yesterday. A couple good ideas about future Morning Rush episodes in yesterday's comments, but I wanted to get to a little bit of a matchup preview for the Broncos, but I'll circle back to a couple of those for next week. If there's something you want me to talk about on our Morning Rush, our one topic podcast, let me know, and I'll see if I can make that happen for you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and until next time, enjoy.